good sticks, everyone? Welcome to the Captain Avalanche Fancast, your unofficial source for all things Colorado Avalanche hockey and more from a fan perspective. Welcome to our new summertime content, CAF Minicasts, where we try our best to satisfy yours and our desperate need for summer hockey. Hosted by me, Captain Avalanche Corey, and our local Sharks expert, Dom. Now, we're no insiders. We're not inside the locker room face-to-face with our favorite players, but we hope to create a relatable and welcoming environment because we're just like all of you listening. Fans with a deep passion for the game of hockey, and in this case, the Colorado Avalanche. Turns out episode 39 did end up being our last episode of season 2. Who knew? It just ended up being a logical conclusion. However, there were a couple factors that ended up out of our control as well. Mostly due to my own fault, because I ended up starting a new full-time position in a brand new industry, and that has admittedly been a lot. But you don't care about that. You're wondering where the hell the Captain Avalanche Fancast has been and where your weekly dose of Avalanche and hockey discussions from your favorite hosts in the business has been. They're on vacation, so we're here instead. Jokes aside, Dom and I have already taken a couple weeks off to recover and to begin creating this new content that you are now hearing and will be hearing every week until the preseason on September 19th when we will begin Season 3! Then, you may think we'll have to wait until the first or second week of October for the regular season like usual. You would be incorrect. Because, in case you missed it, the NHL is extending the regular season to 84 games and is starting the season even sooner, September 29th, in fact. Some people think the regular season is already too long, but I will take any additional hockey that I can get. But we're not there yet. We're here. And we're also not in season 2 either. So, where are we exactly? Well, thanks to a well-educated recommendation, just like us, we know that you want to keep up your regular consumption of Avalanche talk and other hockey content. I literally listen to hockey content every day, and for the few of you who come back to us on a regular basis, we don't want to lose that connection, and in fact, make it even stronger. But in all honesty, we still need a break for ourselves. I need more time to keep getting into the flow of this new job and adjust to this new schedule, and Dom, who is already busy enough without me taking up his time every week. Therefore, we still need a break before next season, as well as time to plan what's next for this podcast. But, Captain Avalanche Corey, how could you and your incredible, amazing, sexy, and massively intelligent co-host Dom possibly take a break while still delivering the incredible, witty, well-researched, and Colorado Avalanche San Jose Sharks-centered content we've all come to love? Well, fear not, dear listener, for we have a plan. Everything you hear from today until the official first episode of Season 3 is actually all going to be recorded in one sitting. Mostly. We prepared a myriad of fun, entertaining, opinionated, and factual segments for you to tune into every week whilst we enjoy some time off to not get burnt out, but for you to still get your hockey fill. The problem is now the news is slow. But if any major pieces come in, we'll create emergency recordings on an as-needed basis. But don't expect us to whip out our metaphorical shovels and go digging for news and pieces that don't exist, and about teams that our show doesn't really focus on. Every week, we'll bring you a bite-sized episode of around half an hour or so, maybe more, maybe less, around one fun little segment and idea. /topic. I don't know why I didn't use that word. It might be about teams we've hated, but don't anymore. Avalanche and Sharks players' superlatives, our favorite games from last season, perhaps some revisits of old segments of the past with updated twists. Either way, it should be a lot of fun. But today, I thought we'd hit on a few points that happened after our last episode that didn't quite add up to a full episode, but are perfect for our first little CAF Minicast episode. So, what do we have on the docket today? Dude, where's Makar? The Leo Carlsson offer sheet and what it means for Macklin Celebrini, and the Avalanche poked around trading for who? But before we get there, Dom, I've left you off to the side long enough. How's it going, brother?
Oh, I'm enjoying just letting you cook here, taking a little bit of extra rest, as it were, just watching you just run through it. It's been awesome. Well, more accurately, I'm not actually watching you as much as we make that joke. No, I'm here just listening to what you have to say. Wow, our brains are still tired, even though we have these couple weeks off in the summer because it somehow is still crazy busy. Also crazy hot out here in Colorado. I hope everyone out there is staying cool and staying safe with all this 99-degree high, 71-degree low. Are you kidding me? Like, that's warmer than I normally or at the temperature I want to set my AC at night. So is it going to run all night, or do I just have to bite the bullet and set it warmer and sleep warm, which nobody likes? So I don't know. We're doing the best we can. I hope you're all surviving out there and that we get some cooler weather coming in soon. Because, hockey needs ice. We like the ice. We like it cold here in Colorado, and we can't wait to talk some hockey today. And over the course of this summer, being able to bring you some fun little things that are ideas that have been off to the side a little bit that we just didn't get to in season 2, and we wanted to bring for everyone to listen to here in these minicasts.
Yes, sir. 300 days of sunshine ain't no joke here in Colorado. We are actually even sunnier than the state of Florida. So there you go, everybody. But Dom is exactly correct. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to some of these. I think you will all enjoy them. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. And of course, if you have any ideas, anything you want to hear for next season, we of course are always taking new ideas. So please, by all means, send us an email, send us a comment on any of our social media platforms. We would be happy to find a way to include it going into the future. But I will say, Dom mentioned we are tired. We are. So if any of our speech or ideas start to break down at some point, or you hear something and think to yourself, man, that doesn't make any fucking sense, please have some grace and forgive us. We are doing our best, but that's all I think we can do at this point. So let's jump right into our first bit of discussion here. For a pun that I thought was pretty fucking funny. Dude, where's Makar? Tell me you get what I'm saying, Dom. Do you get it?
Of course I get it. It's a pun. Puns are my area of expertise.
Dude, where's my car? Okay. As of the time of recording, and in theory by the time of release, which is going to be Wednesday, or I guess it'd be Thursday. What am I talking about? Maybe Wednesday the 22nd, maybe Thursday the 23rd. One of those days when you're hearing this. By the time of release, though, knowing our luck on this show, I'm sure Makar will have put pen to paper before this episode comes out. But pretending that he hasn't, Makar still hasn't signed his contract extension. I can't lie when I say that I'm honestly shocked. I don't think anyone is necessarily dragging their feet either, though why it wasn't discussed more throughout the season so they could have been ready for July 1st, and perhaps it would have saved them some money, but maybe not. But that's not where we're at. We're nearly through July, and we are still waiting with bated breath for Makar to sign his extension. Ultimately, though, I don't think it's a matter of if he'll sign or not, because he is going to sign. Unlike with the Mikko Rantanen situation, there is truly not a reality out there where Cale Makar ever plays for any other team. Truly, I believe that. The team will give up nearly everyone else before they give up Makar. But it's just about the number, and because of the contracts that are getting signed are perhaps throwing negotiations completely out of whack. 4 of the 5 highest contracts in the NHL now haven't even been started. The only one that has is Leon Draisaitl's $14 million AAV, which looks like a steal at this point, but we'll get to that. It also certainly doesn't help that Bo Byram somehow finessed the Blackhawks into giving him the largest overpay of all time. He is not only the highest paid defenseman in the league, at least for today, that will not last, but the highest defenseman paid in NHL history. At least I would imagine that that's the case, unless it has to be. A guy who has never been a number 1 or top pairing defenseman is somehow the one making the most money. Make it make sense. And who knows if there's a deadlock between Hughes and Makar waiting each other out to see who will sign first to help them determine their own worth, or maybe it makes no difference at all. I'm sitting here hoping Makar takes somewhat of a hometown, quote, discount, close quote, and I believe that he will, but even if he didn't, does it really matter? Are you really going to complain? No, you're not. It's Cale fucking Makar. And if you do complain, go cheer for a different team. But even if Makar takes the max amount right now, which is $20.8 million, you have to look at it not as a number itself, but in terms of overall cap percentage. Cale Makar still has one more year on his absolute darling of a contract, 9.25, or I think just 9, with the cap going up. And by the time the extension kicks in, the cap will have gone up again and is projected to continue to rise over that period. When Nathan MacKinnon signed his $12.6 million contract in 2023-24, the salary cap was $83.5 million, which would have been a little over 15% of the cap at the time. The first year of Makar's contract, the cap would be $113.5 million, which is, Dom, if I can do my math correctly here, $30 million more dollars than in 2023-24.
Yep.
Perfect. If he took the max possible, it would be 18.3% of the cap in 2027-2028. From there, it is predicted to rise around $123 million, which would drop it to around 16.9% of the cap, and would likely only continue to drop from there. Basically, all I'm trying to say is it isn't the end of the world, because you don't want Cale Makar on any other team because they would give him that money in a heartbeat. And I probably didn't even do the math right.
No, give yourself credit. You did the math right on there. If he takes $20.8 million with those numbers, assuming that those are the cap limits, then yeah, those percentages are accurate. But I think what's great, Corey, is you're mentioning percentage of cap, because as we look at this changing NHL landscape with the cap rising, unlike anything we've ever seen before, honestly, this is it. We have to recalibrate. We've talked about it, and we've spoken in relative terms. It's not going to look that bad in a few years. It's not going to look that bad in a few years. Oh, it seems like a lot, but that's going to become the new normal. But this is what it really comes down to, is the percentages. The number of players on the roster is not going to go up, right? The number of guys you put on the bench each night is not going to go up. So that means that there is more money to go around the same number of players. Does it mean, sure, maybe the rosters in the AHL, we have seen just the minimum salaries for NHL contracts, and therefore two-way contracts go up, and it's going to continue going up a little bit, which is great. Every player in the NHL deserves to get paid a little more to account for inflation, just like all of us want an annual raise. But this idea of looking at the percentage is a better way to put numbers and an actual statistical analysis into this of why these newer contracts, these expensive contracts, are going to end up working out for these teams or not be so bad. So it gives more evidence to back up what we've been saying. And I hope that helps for all of you listeners put a better picture on why we're saying it. Not just that we're giving our opinion, but the numbers are saying that as long as that cap keeps going up, the percentage is going to go down. And so you'll still have plenty of money to throw around to the rest of the team.
Exactly. And I mean, this does kind of bleed into talking about Leo Carlsson here, but I mean, it makes sense. It's on point for our discussion here. You know, $18 million for Leo Carlsson, that seems like a lot. And right now, it kind of is, because that makes him the highest paid player, when clearly he's probably not the guy who should be making that kind of money. But, you know, that was a calculated risk by Philadelphia, and here we are. But it is a lot right now, but I think what a lot of people are forgetting is, for a long time, especially throughout COVID, we were trapped in a flat cap era. So seeing fantastically high numbers, like, for example, Nathan MacKinnon's cap when it was 12.6, we were just starting to come out of that flat cap era where we were trapped at like $82 million for a long time. And then all of a sudden you had Austin Matthews signing for $13.65 million. So, I mean, people were like, oh my God, that's so much money. And at the time, sure, it is. But think about that Nathan MacKinnon contract now, where I believe it's up through 2031, 2032, something like that. In a few years, when the cap is massive, that contract's already a steal right now for everything that Nathan MacKinnon brings. Just imagine what $12.6 million is going to look like in a few years when the cap's over $130 million. That's going to be chump change. So it's really just looking about equivalency here, where it's like, oh, you know, a $10 million contract for a third liner is now the same as a $5 million contract for the same guy, 6 years ago. I know that's not exactly accurate, everybody. I'm just, spitballing for the sake of the idea here, but that's kind of the mindset you have to take, and you just, in a way, have to get used to bigger numbers. And yeah, I agree with you. I agree with all of you out there that it was shocking to see such big numbers at first. And as a lot of the term that analysts like to use is sticker shock. And I mean, it's there. I will say, though, no matter what, the Bowen Byram contract is a bad contract. That is an overpay. It's going to be a boat anchor no matter what. So, yeah. Just because, obviously, there will be more money to go around the same number of guys, as Dom says, does not mean teams are immune to signing bad contracts. I do think Leo Carlsson will be eventually able to get up to, living up to those numbers, or at least somewhere close to it. I believe in him. I think he's going to be great. But before we get more into him, Dom, any other thoughts on what I just said?
Yeah, actually, I have a few. I think.
Oh, well, that's
to put
disappointing.
This in numbers.
I'm kidding.
Let's say the cap in the 28-29 season is in fact 123 million, right? If we're talking 113,
and that's just a projection.
28, yeah, it's a projection, so it could be lower. But let's just use that projection, right? For the sake of argument, that's the projection we've used thus far. If it was 83 million in the 23-24 season, in the span of 5 years, the cap would go up to 150% of its size. 83 million to 123 million, you're adding 40 million. That's half of what it was, just stacked on the top. So if you're adding an extra 50% on the top in the span of 5 years, that's adding just on the curve, right? You're adding that amount per year. You can add that amount to each contract, right? To each of the contracts. That's why you could pay 150% of what you were paying for the same player 5 years ago, because that's the trend it's on. So we all have to adjust to this. I agree, though. I think the question with Leo Carlsson is, do you think he's going to be Kirill Kaprizov level? Do you think he's going to be worth that? Because also that contract, what makes that contract bad is it walks him right to free agency.
And I think
he's
that was absolutely intentional. That was absolutely intentional.
Of course it was. That's what you're going to do with an offer sheet, is you're going to go try to get the guy. You got to set a price that's high enough that you're willing to pay it because of the quality they bring, but make it difficult for the other team to match, and then walk him right to free agency where he'll have another shot. It's going to be expensive no matter what. You're taking a risk. You're taking a gamble no matter what. But I think something really great here that I want to say was THG from his podcast that I heard, or from his, I don't know, what do you call it? His channel.
Yeah, just his YouTube channel. I'd just say his YouTube channel.
Okay, yeah. So from THG's channel, right? How we look at the cap has to change, because we're living in a different world. The culture has changed so much, because it used to be that there would be so much team control, loyalty, stick around until they became a free agent, prove themselves as an initial UFA, and then would be signing those massive contracts as players once they were in their 30s. You were never getting that return once these guys finally got paid. They were getting paid more so on the back end after playing well. They get their due and don't live up to it. So you were paying for a lot of boat anchor contracts. With how the league is adapting, younger guys are going to get paid more and more sooner, because it makes more sense for teams to take that risk up front now. Bet on potential. Potential is a better gamble, because even if it doesn't work out, they have the first year, they have time to play their way into it. You'll have the ability to do retention. With the cap going up, you can retain a larger dollar hit and still manage than you used to before. Because again, if retention is based on percentage, going back to that, and make the cap more palatable to trade away if it doesn't work out. You have a lot more flexibility betting heavily on young guys and hoping it works out for you than not, because also if they're young and it doesn't work out, you're not typically counting on them right away in a cup window. You have time to pivot. And also just, I feel like you just have to do a better job as a GM with gambling effectively. Right? Gambling on known commodities that are, they're on the downswing on the back half of their career It's just not a smart bet. And we try to avoid talking about betting here on this show, but I do think we have to look at it that way, because when you give all of these money to players, it's always a projection. It always is a gamble, and sometimes we forget that.
I agree. And I truly think it makes more sense than what we did previously. Because, for example, I think a good example, wow, Department of Redundancy Department, my goodness. A good example is Jack Hughes' contract. They signed him early, taking a bet to a number that was higher than maybe a lot of teams were comfortable with, but betting on the potential. Well, now Jack Hughes is a gold medal winning Olympian. I mean, he's easily the best player on his team. And so I personally think it's a smarter bet to take, especially because, in my opinion, players are getting better. I think these kids are getting better. I truly think we're going to see some of the best players we've ever seen in these next few generations. They're going to make some of these older guys look silly with how good they're going to be. Is that going to be everybody? No, of course not. But I think in some ways that's going to end up saving you money in the long run. If you don't pay them now, somebody else is going to. So let's go ahead then and jump.
Well, no, really quickly. Before you jump one more, I just got to jump in and agree with you there, because that ties in also with what we're saying. If the cap's going up, somebody's going to pay them more because they're going to have more money to pay them more. The earlier you pay, the better price you're going to get. And that's, again, tying it back in why you're stressed about Cale Makar. It doesn't, we all are confident he's going to sign, but that number, the longer it goes, the higher you expect that number to be.
Yep.
So, and not to mention, like, Macklin Celebrini is the next Sidney Crosby. He's the face of NHL 27. And yet, from all accounts, his younger brother, RJ, is going to be better.
It's crazy. That kid's already out there training with them in Vancouver at 13.
Damn.
And that's awesome for the game. We should all be...
We lost Dom.
The players getting
there
better.
He is.
The programs... Oh no, you lost me.
I did.
The programs are getting better. The investment in our younger players is getting better. So that makes the future of the NHL as a whole better. If there's one message from this, is that the NHL, these leagues need to invest more in helping the youth development system so that it continues this trajectory, because the NHL is going to profit off of this down the line. The more they invest in the youth movement now, the better and better these talents are going to get, the better it'll be for all of us to enjoy. And it's just really exciting to see.
Absolutely. So I think that segues us into this bigger discussion point of Leo Carlsson. And, you know, answering your question, do I think he'll be Kirill Kaprizov? Maybe, honestly. I'm pretty confident in it. I think next year there's a high probability that he starts to step into or becomes a point per game player. And I think that, to me, in today's NHL, is always a really good quality of your superstars and makes them worth the money. I think he has just as high of a skill ceiling as Kirill Kaprizov. He hasn't demonstrated any reason to not believe that right now. His injury last year obviously slowed him down a little bit, but yeah, no reason to not believe that he has that ability. But to be totally honest, yeah, he's not worth $18 million right now. He might not ever fully live up to $18 million, but what I really want to talk about is that Pat Verbeek could have avoided all of this, because it was his fault that this happened in the first place, because they were ready to sign before the end of the season. They were ready to sign earlier in the season. And I think it was a much more reasonable. I think it was between like 9 and 12 million. Wow. That would have been fucking nice, wouldn't it? But Pat Verbeek himself stopped negotiations and said, we'll take care of it after the season. And then this absolute buffoon, absolute fool,
You fool!
goes out publicly and says, Humph will match any offer you send to Leo Carlsson and our other RFAs. What a fucking moron. Because what happened? The Flyers saw that and said, okay, match this one, bitch. And threw the highest contract in NHL history at Leo Carlsson. And respectfully, you know, I know some other guys wouldn't sign offer sheets. Obviously, you know, Macklin Celebrini is like, I would never sign an offer sheet. Connor Bedard said it. He's like, I didn't even entertain offer sheets. I understand. But it's also Leo Carlsson's choice to make. And obviously, he was like, I really hoped they matched because I wanted to be a Duck. But Fuck, man, of course he signed it. That's $18 million fucking dollars. Like, why the fuck would he say, no, I'm not going to sign that because I want to be a Duck and then I'll let them sign me for less? No, he's going to be like, cool, I want to be a Duck and make a ton of money. Let me sign this, hoping that my team matches. The fuck? Would you not sign that? Dom, would you not sign a contract for $18 million to make you the highest paid player in league history?
You kidding me? I get to be a professional hockey player and make the biggest contract, like the biggest per year value in history. Like, think about all of these NFL players who want to be the highest paid player at their position, where you're adding like pennies to the dollar of value compared to the prior highest, just so you can have the title of being the highest paid at your position. Of course, who wouldn't want that title? Who wouldn't want to break this record and be remembered, be in the news, and also be making a fuck ton of money in the process? Like, of course, especially think about this. Verbeek wanted to sign him to 10, expected an offer sheet in the 12 range. So when he was prepared to sign any offer, he did never in any university think it would be more than 14. He expected it to be 12, but he was trying and negotiating around the 10 million value. Then out of left field, Philly comes and offers 18. That's virtually double. Like, we're talking nearly double. Who isn't going to sign that? It's like, seriously, you want me that much? You'll pay me 18? I like Anaheim, but man, that I'm going to go take that job over there. Like, this is how business works, right? Unless there's some major flaw with an organization, something that you cannot reason with from a moral perspective, that you cannot in good conscience work for someplace, you're going to go to the place that's going to pay you twice as much to do the same job. So no one should blame him. I agree. This is entirely on Verbeek, especially when he wasn't even the highest scoring player on the Ducks last year. That was Cutter Gauthier. So now how is he going to pay them both? He saved up all this cap space trying to make sure he'd have enough to cover on an offer sheet so he could pay Leo 12, pay Cutter 15, and that all goes out the window because he was trying to save $2 million, and now he had to pay 8 extra per year, plus whatever he pays Cutter.
It's like that South Park meme, and it's gone. The cap space is just, it's gone.
It's just, and it's gone because you're gambling. You're trying to save $2 million, but it'll cost you 8 if you lose. Like,
yep,
you're betting 8 to win 2. That's that again. Not trying to. I'm just using because numbers. It's just simple math here. But it's so dumb. It's ancient and clearly out of touch. Right? He should be on the chopping block as a GM for not doing the math we did and talking about percentage of cap. Not valuing his players better to see a top line center, a clear top line center of this generation is going to command a large sum. It's not Bedard. It's not Celebrini. You want to wait and see what they sign so you can try to get a little bit below that or actually beat them to the punch. So there is no number for Leo to shoot for, right? That, like, I don't.
Yeah, and I mean, some people, it's like, well, he doesn't deserve that money. Sure, he doesn't deserve it, but again, it got put in front of him. So why would he not sign it? Like, sure, Connor McDavid absolutely deserves to be paid the most amount of money, but he chose to take a discount to do right by his franchise. I think that's a great thing to do because he wants to win, and I'm sure he'll probably take a discount again on whatever team he signs with after Edmonton because I know he wants to win. Now, does that mean Leo Carlsson doesn't want to win? No. But again, the whole thing comes down to he had $18 million put in front of his face. How is he not supposed to reach out and take it? Because he has to do right by the Ducks? No, he was going to do right by the Ducks, but Pat Verbeek wanted to be a fucking dumbass, and now he had to overpay Pavel Mintyukov because he also had an offer sheet, and now he may not be able to even pay Cutter to Gauthier. So it's dumb. But rolling into that, do I think it's going to fuck over the San Jose Sharks and Macklin Celebrini? No, because Macklin Celebrini himself has come out and stated, I'm going to, I want to get paid because I deserve it, and he deserves it. He very much deserves it. But I want to take a hometown discount so this team can keep, succeeding and we can win. And by that attitude, you can tell he was raised by Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon because, oh my goodness. But I mean, nowadays, a hometown discount is taking, $14 million rather than $16 to $18 million. But I think you're in good hands with this one, Dom. That's all I want to say as we kind of approach the end of our segment here.
Yeah, and obviously this is where I've chimed in a bunch before, but I do have to comment on this one of saying, if anybody deserves that maximum, that $20.8 million, it's Macklin. I mean, he should have won one of the awards. We're not going to reopen that one because I'm going to get too aggravated too early. But, that he should have won an award, more than a point per game player, a lot more than a point per game player, right? Scored the 4th most points in the entire league. So if Leo's getting 18, Macklin deserves like 22. If we're talking about deserves, right? But 15 million is going to be a hometown discount. And again, if the cap's going up, 15 million into 123, that's a palatable number. That's not unmanageable. That's only 12%. So how long is that contract? Perhaps I really hope Mike Grier doesn't try to play chess. He's been making great moves in the rebuild and acquiring talent. This is a new challenge for keeping it. So this is an area where we will have to judge him with fresh eyes. So as much as I love to hype up GMMG, I do want to preface that this upcoming couple of years is going to also be significant for that reason, because while Macklin will take the hometown discount, Will Smith, will Michael Misa, will Ivar Stenberg a year after that? How many of these guys are going to be willing to take a hometown discount, and what are they going to consider a hometown discount to be? Hopefully they follow Macklin's lead. So as far as are the consequences for the Sharks with Macklin, I'm not concerned. I think we were going to pay him 15 million or more anyway. I think we should anyway, but I'm more concerned of the year after that. And after that, where things start to go now that we have the boat anchors of Nurse and Trouba's contracts.
100%. And I think those are reasonable concerns. Well, everybody, there isn't much of a discussion to be had here on this last one, but I just wanted to drop this little piece of lore on all of you and just speculate on what could have been very quickly. The Avalanche apparently were in on trading for Connor Hellebuck.
You what?
I don't know what would have happened there. I don't know what would have been sent back. Probably one of our goaltenders. And listen, Connor Hellebuck is great, but he's also getting older, which, like many of the Avalanche, they are all getting older. But I don't know. I like the tandem. I like the team. I don't know how they would have made it work. I'm sure there was some plan in place, but I think it was more just they kicked tires to see if it was possible. But overall, I don't think it ever would have ended up working out. But, fun to think about. That would have been something. Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar in front of, arguably one of the best goaltenders of this generation. That would have been something.
Certainly would have been a sight to behold if they were title favorites this year with the President's Trophy. I don't know what stratosphere that boosts them up to for next year, but honestly, you've got so many great goaltenders. I think it's for the best that they didn't break the bank and sell the farm trying to go get a depreciating asset, because that's what it is. As he gets older, it's kind of what we were saying before. Those contracts become less good at that age. So even though he is the best goaltender in the regular season, there are also still those questions about the postseason as well.
Exactly. I think final thought that would have been the risk that you run, and the window for that kind of success would have been short. Well, everyone, the clock is counting down to the final horn. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this CAF Minicast. If you have something you want to know about the Avalanche, Sharks, or just hockey in general, or have an idea for future segments, reach out to us on our socials or email, and we'll be happy to try and answer it or include it. The best thing you can do if you like what we're doing here is to follow us on whatever platform you're using and to share this podcast everywhere you can with everyone you can. I'm Captain Avalanche Corey.
And I'm Dom from the Tank.
Check out our new episodes every week. Thanks, everyone.